Should I be cleaning my email list? That's the topic of today's video. The short answer of it is absolutely yes, you should. I'm going to explain to you why today and walk you through how to do a simple list cleaning exercise in your Klaviyo account. The principles are the same, whichever ESP you use, MailChimp, OmniSend, HubSpot, same concept, slightly different mechanics of how to identify email addresses for list cleaning, but certainly the strategy is the same. So I'm Sarah Kapler. I'm founder and CEO of Centric Squared. We are a CRM-driven email marketing agency, and we work with small businesses to help them get revenue from email. We have been cleaning lists since we've been an email marketing agency. It's something we do for all of our clients. It has gotten to become a, let's say, hot topic recently because in the last few months, Klaviyo has changed its billing model. So if you haven't caught my previous video, go back and check that out, and you can understand what the changes are and why list cleaning matters. Since February of this year, Klaviyo has started enforcing what they call an active profile count as the basis of their billing mechanism, which means if you have a profile in your Klaviyo account that's emailable, meaning you're able to email them, they have not unsubscribed, they are not suppressed, we'll walk through those terms in a second, then you're paying for them. You're paying for the ability to email these people, whether you're emailing them regularly or not. That's how the billing system works. As such, it's caused a lot of people with Klaviyo accounts, especially on older accounts with the older pricing model, to really review how they're cleaning their lists and how they're managing their lists. So it's good practice to clean your list. What that means in the email world is it means that, let's say you have an email list of 1 million people, you have been in business for 10 years, you have just a ton of email addresses of people that you've either purchased or you've gotten signups from, or they visited your website, or whatever the reasons are for having a large email list, wherever they came from. You have like a really huge volume of them. They're not all created equal. They're not all live, active emails. They could be junk emails. They could be outdated emails. People change email addresses. People stop checking inboxes all the time. They could have typos in them. They could be bouncing, and they could just simply be dormant. And so the question, or just not care about your emails, not opening your emails, not engaging with your emails. So out of that, let's say 1 million email addresses, probably if you never cleaned your list, something like 20 or 30% of that list is going to be really important, active, engaged, listening to what you have to say in email, and the rest is going to be dead weight. So cleaning your list is really important because once you clean your list, if you have smaller list size and you're focusing only on these people who want to hear from you, what happens is your email metrics go up. Your open rates look amazing. Your click rates go through the roof. Your conversion goes through the roof. And what happens is your deliverability gets better too. Quick step back and watch one of my other videos on deliverability. But the general idea is if you're sending emails to people who are opening, responding, clicking, it's telling Gmail, Yahoo, Microsoft, Outlook, all these inbox providers, you're good people. You're sending good emails. You're not spam. You are a legitimate source of information, and the people receiving your emails want to hear from you. And what happens is more of your emails get through to people from those Gmail, Yahoo, etc. So it's kind of like this positive feedback loop where if your email list is engaged, in turn, more of your emails are going to get through to their intended audience. So it's a good practice to do anyway, whether you're on Klaviyo or not, whether you're facing billing increases or not, whether you have money to spare, maybe you don't care about the cost increasing, maybe it's not a big deal to you, it's still a good practice to clean your list. And it really boils down to, what do you consider an active email subscriber? So different businesses are going to be different, meaning, if you sell a mattress to someone, you might want to hold on to your list for 7-8 years when it's time for them to, buy a second mattress, right? Versus something, say, perishable, where, you might have a much smaller kind of window. Customer lifetime value looks different. The repeat purchase rate looks different. So you need to look at your business and come up with something like, if we've been emailing this person for 12 months, 18 months, 24 months, and they're really not interested in hearing from from us. They're not opening our emails. They're not going to our website. They're not placing orders. They're not viewing product pages. Then let's just let them go, bless and release them. And so coming up with what that time frame is for your business is really important. In our agency, in anything e-commerce, we usually do about 18 months as a conservative estimate. Some cases we extend that, again, because of the business model and what's being sold and the frequency. I'm going to show you how we set up what's called a segment in Klaviyo with some rules to kind of dynamically populate this, and then show you how to actually suppress people in Klaviyo that meet this criteria. What you'll see happen is as soon as you suppress a list, those numbers will go down and your billing should also in turn go down. So let's jump into Klaviyo real quick and I'll show you an example of what this segment looks like. Here is my screen. Hopefully you can see it. So I'm in Klaviyo right now on a client account. Let's go over to audience, list, and segments, and let me open up unengaged greater than 18 months. I'm going to show you what this definition looks like. So I create a segment from scratch. I give it a name, unengaged over 18 months, and here's how we define it. Someone has opened an email 0 times in the last 180 days. We use 545 days. So they have not opened an email at all in 18 months. They have clicked the email 0 times overall time. They can receive email marketing. They were created at least 545 days ago. Active on site 0 times in the last 545 days, cannot receive SMS marketing because don't forget that if you have SMS turned on, some people might only have their SMS in there, and so you don't want to accidentally delete active SMS profiles when you're trying to clean up your email list. And then we also have placed order 0 times overall time, and the email is set just as a kind of sanity check, again, for like look only at email profile. So this is one example of how we build this segment. When you create the segment, you'll update it and you'll see, obviously it depends on your account and how often you clean lists. We clean this one pretty regularly, so it's not going to be a very big list, but the concepts goes, applies to any kind of email account. So you'll create the segment and Klaviyo will do its thinking behind the scenes. It will add profiles to the segment and you'll be able to see a list of who currently meets these criteria. So right now I have 441 people who meet this criteria. You can see they're all recently added because we did clean this up recently. So what this means is it's telling me there's 441 people that I could remove. It's not really worth trying to email them anymore. And when you've identified this segment, it's really easy to just come in here and let's go back to our list and segment list. So it's really easy once you've identified them to come in here, and in this segment view, you can suppress current members. So that would be the workflow. Identify inactive people and then go in there and suppress them. Now, a best practice you are aware is to come in here and to, go into this segment tip and trick. So when you're inside the segment, you can do what's called snapshot segment or convert to list. So what that does is it takes everybody who's in the segment right now. It's going to create a static list, and this helps you kind of keep an eye on who you suppressed and when. So you'll see, for example, a few days ago we came in here and we suppressed a number of profiles, and I can always come in and I have the trace of who was suppressed. And, I can come in here and either suppress them or unsuppress them and kind of manage it. And I'll explain to you why that's important. As soon as you suppress from a segment, those people are not going to appear in the segment. It's almost like you're taking you're filling up a bucket and then you're emptying the bucket. The bucket's empty, right? It's going to start repopulating as more people meet the criteria from this date onwards. But the actual segment itself is going to be empty. And so sometimes it's hard to piece together how you've managed the account and who you've suppressed on which date over time. So that's one of our little tips, is to make a snapshot of the segment before you suppress it, just so you have the historical trace of who you have suppressed. Okay, so that's the basic concept of list cleaning. What I would say is that, the hard part is for sure trying to come up with what are these criteria that make sense in your business. It is absolutely going to depend on what kind of integrations you have, what kind of data you have, and how you're running your email marketing program. So for example, if you're brand new to email marketing, you've only sent 1 or 2 emails, give it a little bit of time before you go in and suppress profiles. You want to make sure that you have given people in your list enough opportunity to engage with you before you consider them suppressed. As a rule of thumb, we say, 6 months and above. Like 6 months would be the minimum if you're running regular weekly campaigns to consider someone suppressed. And in most businesses, especially those with high kind of gift-giving potential, we would say just make sure that your segment will include last year's holiday purchasers, right? Like you don't want to go in and just accidentally suppress everybody who bought from you last Black Friday, because guess what? You're going to get to this Black Friday, you go to email people, they're not there anymore, and suddenly your revenue is really shot down. So you have to look at your business and what makes sense to suppress, but the mechanics are the same. You consider people who have been given ample opportunity to engage with your brand and have not shown indications of interest. Clean that. We do it every 6 months for our clients. We come in and we check these lists and we make sure it's up to date. You will absolutely see a few things happen as soon as you suppress contacts in your profile. One is you'll see your active profile count will be reduced. So that's good news for billing. The second thing you'll see is your deliverability metrics and your performance metrics should actually start going up, because all of a sudden you're not sending to dead weight anymore, and they're not in your system. And as such, those who remain, like a higher proportion of them, are going to be engaged with your emails. So not only will your metrics like open rate go up, but even things like click rate and placed order rate tends to get a boost because you're getting through to more people. Again, because of this positive feedback loop that happens when you send emails to engaged audiences. So you'll see your metrics go up, you'll see your account numbers go down. Now that's great to do every 6 months or so. I want to show you now how to kind of automate some of this to get you thinking about it. There's just something we do cautiously, but in key flows for our clients. And of course, if you need a hand thinking through where to put these kinds of automations, let us know. We're happy to consult with you on that. But let me show you what I mean. So let's look at a flow. I'm going to open up one that I have. I'll open up a re-engagement flow instead. So this is a re-engagement flow sunset. So this is emails that are being sent to people. They have placed an order once overall time, and after a certain time period, it's about 3 months. So somebody, 3 months post-purchase is being invited to purchase again. If they placed an order or not, they get kind of different messaging, and we're trying to get them to either repurchase or make the first purchase, but we haven't seen them around in a while. In this case, it's 3 months. So you'll see what we do at the end of this flow. After a certain time period, we come in here and we set a profile property. So just a reminder, you have this little profile property update on the left-hand side, and you can decide after this step in the flow, if someone is still in the flow, then come in here and create a new property on the profile, call it unengaged, and set it true, right? That's one way to do it. But the point is that I'm going to delete my example, but the point is that at the end of a flow, if there is still no engagement, you can come in and create a little unengaged tag on this profile to help you later clean out those who have not responded to your re-engagement flow or your sunset flow or whatever it is. So here's just one example. Obviously, every business is going to have different flows set up, but this is a way that you can, I'd say, automate the process and kind of bookmark people for suppression after you've given them a sort of last chance or, final offer to engage with your email. That's the idea behind automating some of the otherwise manual or laborious pieces. So adding suppression logic is smart at the end of your engagement flow. Let's see, if you have never cleaned your list before, ever, I would probably suggest doing so very cautiously, meaning create segments that are really specific. Maybe start with 24 months, see what that looks like, cull those, then maybe come in and say, well, what about 20 months? What does that look like? Okay, let's try culling those. You can kind of take smaller steps. Also, we have some clients who have never cleaned their list and they say, we just don't want to deal with it at all. Can you help us? And sometimes we'll take their list of anybody not showing recent engagement and we'll run it through kind of list validation tool or data validation tool like Zero Bounce or We Use Alfred, our agency. And what they do is they check the email. Is the email even valid anymore, right? If you don't have good data, you haven't been emailing often, you're just not sure where to start, it's kind of a nice safety net to double check and then suppress those that are marked as no longer, mailboxes don't exist or suspicious. I think especially in cases where you don't have a double opt-in on your website, meaning people can type in anything and then, get onto your list without having to confirm the email. So you're missing this kind of key step to keeping your list clean. If you don't have a double opt-in, your data can sometimes get messy. So I want to show you one more thing here. Let me see if I can figure out how. All right, no, I'm not going to do that. Let's cut this a little bit. So on that note, never ever cleaned your list. Another idea is to go into your email service provider or take all your profiles out and look for typos. Things like, instead of gmail.com, it's gmail.con with an N at the end, right? Little things like this where what happens is the email is not going to get through. Therefore, you're not going to have any opens or clicks or, anything like that coming from the profile. They're going to look like they're unengaged, but really it's just a typo, right? That's cluttering some of that data. So there are sometimes specific angles you can take, especially if you've never cleaned your list or don't have an agency supporting you that can help you with that one-time cleanup. So we tell our clients list cleaning, it's kind of like hiring a cleaning service. Like the first time you do it, you probably need a deep clean. Doesn't matter how organized you are or how well you wash your dishes. You're probably going to need someone to come in and do the baseboards and, the cobwebs and things that you just don't do in your daily life or most people don't do. Whereas once you've done that deep clean, it's pretty straightforward to maintain every 6 months or so. So on a regular cadence. So it's not as big of a chore if you keep it up and do it regularly. So I hope you found this helpful. Again, take a look at our videos if you need other resources to help you managing the Klaviyo pricing increases. List cleaning is one way to keep your costs down. It's effective. As soon as you suppress people, your active profile counts will go down. Just be careful not to suppress blindly, meaning please don't go in and just delete all your emails in order to save a few bucks on your license fees. That's kind of sad. Try to think about how to, do this regularly. Set yourself a reminder every 6 months to come in and check on the segments. And then a best practice is when you're actually suppressing a segment, you've identified, who needs suppression, go in there and make that list, that static list, so that you have the trace, because it does get hard to see as you list clean who exactly was suppressed and when, right? So this can help you just manage back-end administration to make it a little bit easier to understand why certain people got suppressed over time, or what was the criteria, or how big was the group, or etc. It's just useful to do that. So I hope you found this useful. Reach out if you need any support. We offer audits and of course consulting and of course a whole email marketing team if you need extra hands to manage the task of list cleaning. That's it. Thank you.